My name is Omweri Kibwato, a host at KDRTV News, a premier diaspora news station reaching millions across the globe with a candid and precise approach on issues touching our lives today. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in and giving suggestions, improvements, critique, and sending questions to the panelists who have appeared in our previous interviews. Once again, we want to encourage you to subscribe to our channels of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Don't forget that we also have an online digital newspaper, www.kdrtv.com. Please subscribe for breaking and trending news. We've lined up for you a series of prominent personalities who have touched lives in their journey, either on a personal, community, and professional level. From politics, science, health and technological advancement in our world today. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time is our prime time for various interviews. Be part of the story and the journey as we drive a positive narrative not only in the diaspora but also in our beloved African continent. Today we have lined up for you very smart individuals who have made tremendous achievements in the academic world of medicine and have taken part in developing and improving various medications, vaccines, and have patents to their names. They have a wonderful story to share with us, and will also be answering a few questions from you, the viewers. So log in to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter and ask your questions using the hashtag KDRTV. Let me now tell you who are actually coming for this particular interview. We have Dr. Ndege Dr. Benson, Dr. William Ndege. Their names are a little bit similar, and Dr. Benson Edagwa. Dr. Edagwa and Ndege are co-founders of Daktari Biotechnology Limited and are advancing the company's mission and vision through the application of technology. They innovated to develop and produce products that will address human and animal health diseases in Africa. Dr. Wilson Ndege is a scientific leader with expertise in molecular biology and technology development, who is based in Boston region and has in the last 30 years worked and performed research in academia. He has actually worked with Harvard Medical School, Partners Healthcare, and in pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies. Among them, Chiron Diagnostics Incorporation, Millennium Pharmaceuticals Incorporation, the famous AstraZeneca, Yukon Pharma, and New Era Pharma in the field of cardiovascular and cancer research drug development. He holds 5 patents in the field of cancer biomarkers. He and his partner have in the last 6 years been working in the innovation of one of the latest technologies for therapeutic protein production using human cells. He is a founder of Diaspora University since the idea started at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, University in Worcester, Massachusetts. Also, we have Dr. Benson J. Edagwa, who is an associate professor at the University of Nebraska Medical School. He is an organic medicinal chemist who has an extensive background in formulation of small molecules and the development of new strategies for synthesis of biologically active natural products and their natural analogs and their applications to human diseases, such as HIV/AIDS, hepatitis B, and tuberculosis. He is listed as a co-inventor of 13 US patent applications. He co-invented long-acting, slow, effective release antiretroviral therapy, laser ART, regimen with a potential of a once every year dosing interval for treatment and prevention of HIV-1 and other viral infections. The first elimination of HIV-1 was demonstrated in a humanized mouse model of the disease using a combination of laser art and gene editing technologies. Now, let me bring in Dr. Benson and Dr. Wilson. Welcome, Dr. Benson and Dr. Wilson. Now, let's start. Welcome to KDRTV News, first of all. Feel free, and here we are going to discuss very critical issues about life and science, and we are very much privileged to have you in our TV station because you deserve to be here. KDRTV is part of you. We need you to tell your story to the world because you guys are very much a privilege to be born, not only in Kenya, but in the world today, because whatever you are going to share with you is going to help the African continent. Thank you very much. So, briefly, can you introduce yourself? Let's start with Dr. Benson. Let's go ahead, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on this show. My name is Benson Edagwa, and I don't think I will go over the introduction again because you did a very good introduction of myself and what we've done. So, and I look forward to the discussion, but just to summarize what you said, I'm an associate professor at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. I'm also a co-founder of a company here in the US called Xavier Therapeutics that is focused on developing medicines that will help manage HIV and also substance abuse disorders. So we've done a lot of work around HIV, and I currently hold 16 patents around the technologies. And now I'm looking at ways in which we can try to accelerate and take some of these discoveries into where they are needed the most, which is Africa, that has been left behind on some of these cutting-edge technologies. So thank you so much for having us, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much. So let's go ahead. Can you introduce yourself, Dr. Wilson? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much, Benson and KDRTV, for hosting us. I'll just start by saying that, molecular biologist by training, done lots of research in cancer and also in cardiovascular diseases. And besides that, also, done a lot of technology invention, particularly the technology we are going to be applying in productions of some of our medicines and vaccines. So we've been doing that for the last 6 years since we originally put together Daktari Biotechnology. And the key thing here for anybody that is tuned in is that, what you need is the technology that you want to apply to be able to, achieve the goal of producing the medicines. And that's what Benson and I bring to bear, and that's what we are going to be sharing with everybody on this forum as we talk to you and give you a little bit of our ideas. I'll leave it there for now, but we can talk more about other things later.
Thank you very much. The first question, we would like Dr. Benson to start. Tell us briefly about Daktari Biotechnology.
Yeah, I think I'll give a very brief introduction about this Daktari Biotechnology, but I think Wilson will be able to go into the details because this is a journey that he and others have worked over many years before I joined them. So they actually reached out to me sometime last year, several months ago, to see how we could partner to accelerate, introduction of some of these world-class therapies on the African market. So this is an expansive project that brings together, various professionals in the diaspora and also the community back at home. And the idea here is to try to harness on our, on our knowledge and some of the discoveries that we've made so that we can have a resource, we can have a company back at home that will be able to produce some of these medicines that will help our populations. So we have different arms of this, entire project that will be focused on, human health, animal health, and we are doing this in a very transparent way and also in a very legal way. That way, anyone that is willing to join us as a co-founder, we will be able to walk this journey together. So I think I will let Wilson to give more details about, how this Daktari Biotechnology was put together and what it intends to accomplish moving forward.
Dr. Wilson, go ahead.
Yes, so Benson has covered it pretty well, but I can add on to that by saying that the Daktari Biotechnology is an idea that goes back maybe 5-6 years ago. That's when the company was established originally. But besides just Daktari Biotechnology itself, it's part of a much bigger project that we call Diaspora University Town, that is going to be located in Taita Taveta. And it brings a lot of different components together that include the Diaspora University that we are actually developing together with the Worcester Polytechnic Institute that you just referred to. That is an engineering school that we partnered with, signed an MOU with them last year, and we are now in the process of building the scope of work, and we have a university founders group that is putting together the curriculum for the university side. I'll leave that for now and maybe just come back and say that the other components of this are the medical hospital team that is led by professional medical specialists here in the diaspora and some in Kenya too that have been putting together the components of that. The other part of it is now the biotechnology, and the way we see it, there's going to be more than about 500 or so small to medium enterprises that will be located in Taita Taveta, and Daktari Biotechnology will be the company that really does the production of the medicines and the development of the medicines as well as the vaccines. The company is going to be located on an 11-acre piece of land that is part of the 3,000-acre piece of land that the town is going to be developed on. So I'll leave it there for now, and we can cover a little bit more on that. As Bendel said, we are straddling both the animal health and the human health diseases, and we can go into details about that later. Thank you for now.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Let me, before we actually now, go to Daktari Biotechnology. My producer is telling me to let's go a little bit back and get some information from your end.
Yes.
Right now we are struggling with the pandemic called COVID. How have you managed to protect yourself against the pandemic that has ravaged the world and claimed thousands of people, not only in America but across the world?
So the key thing, and this has been repeated many times by the health experts, is observing the public health measures that we are supposed to, use to take care of ourselves. And I would say that, people wearing their masks, people social distancing, not congregating in big groups, and pretty much, being isolated. That's what we've been doing for the last 1 year, and that has helped a lot. I know there are those who would like to politicize it, but the key thing is that, let's remove politics out of life and death matters. A lot of people have died. And my appeal to our brothers and sisters in Kenya and our families, we know the vaccines have come. They are being doled out, in the Western countries right now. They'll get to our countries right there, but everybody needs to listen to the health experts and really, focus on the health measures, listen to the public health officials, and make sure that, you do what they tell you to do. Wear your mask. I'll be very honest, when the very infectious mutants started getting into the US, I've been doubling up the masks if I go to the stores to buy food or anything that I need. I make sure that I'm really protecting myself. So that's the key savior right now, and everybody should do that.
Because of time, thank you very much. Yeah, Doctor, you wanted to continue, Dr. Ndege, you wanted to continue or what?
No, I'm done. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Because of time, I believe that Dr. Benson is almost doing the same thing. So, Dr. Benson, just in 30 seconds, tell us exactly how you have managed to protect yourself.
Yeah, I think Wilson pretty much summarized everything, following the guidelines. And I've also been vaccinated. I got my 2 doses, so the vaccines are safe. It's more than a month since I got my second vaccine. So everything is going back to normal, and we hope that, very soon everyone will have a chance to get their vaccine doses.
Okay, let me now cut you in. I'm asking a very pertinent question here, because we've been having issues with people, especially in Africa, saying that these vaccines might not actually be vital, not really vital, but they might not be going to be good for them, based on the history we have about the medical, the unethical tendencies from the West. So, you as vaccine developers actually working in the US, are you really candidly telling the African people that these vaccines are free of, are not going to harm them? They are going to protect them against the virus? Or what's your take, Dr. Ndege? What do you think about that?
The vaccines are extremely safe. I'll probably request you go to slide number 23, and then maybe we can pretty much, put everything to rest. But the way the vaccines are produced, it's not the whole virus that goes into your body. It's part of the virus that plays a very key role in the virus getting into the cells of your body. And then, slide number 23. So essentially, so what you see here is pretty much the virus, and what we are using as vaccines is not the whole virus, but we are taking just what we call a gene for the spike protein, and that gene for the spike protein is being developed on different platforms. You've heard about the mRNA virus, that's the Pfizer, the Moderna vaccine. You've heard about the subunit vaccine that is being developed by a company called Novavax here in the US. And then there is also some that's being introduced using DNA, non-replicating DNA vectors, like the Oxford one and Johnson & Johnson. But the key thing they are taking is just the spike protein, a very small piece of it, and formulating it as RNA, DNA, or just the protein right there. And that protein is the one that is being utilized to essentially train your antibody system, your body, to actually produce antibodies that will clear the virus from the system when you get exposed to the virus. So the vaccines are highly purified. They go through very, very rigorous, testing, and they have gone through a lot of clinical trial, among many subjects, and they are safe. Anybody who gets a chance to take the vaccine, please go ahead and take it, and you'll not regret it, because you don't want to be, suffering, being, in hospital, and going through all the risks of exposing your friends and family. So the vaccines are safe. And we are applying the same technology at Daktari Biotechnology to develop the vaccine. Ours is going to be the subunit vaccine, and we will, be talking a little bit more about that. I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you very much, Daktari. We are pretty happy that you are giving us a candid information on how vaccines are developed. And viewers, we are having people who are developing vaccines for us. So I need you to candidly also, don't fear, ask your questions, and let the professionals or the doctors answer your questions, because these are guys who are making vaccines. So, okay, now let's go back again to Dr. Edagwa. Give us a brief introduction on your educational journey from Africa and how you migrated, or why you migrated to the US, and tell us exactly what you're doing in the US. Dr. Benson.
So I'll be very brief. And before I go into my background, I think it's really important for us to emphasize that, these vaccines are safe. The vaccine technology has been around, and it's through vaccines that we've been able to get rid of things like smallpox and polio off the planet. So the technology is very safe. They are very safe. If you think about the US alone, the vaccines that are currently, being rolled out, they've already been given or administered to around 65 million people. So it's not that, they are going to create, problems in Africa. So again, we have officials on the ground, and the goal of that officials, or the role of those officials on the ground on our continent, is to ensure that, they look at, they understand what is, they have to weigh the risks and some of the benefits. But I would say the benefits outweigh the risks, because, the risks are things like side effects, which we've normally seen with the things like even food. When you eat food, sometimes you'll have allergic reactions. The good thing about allergic reactions, there are treatments for allergic reactions. So what we have to do, we have to ensure that, everyone gets vaccinated. Now, going back to my education journey, I schooled in Kenya. Actually, I was at the school in high school for 3 years. Then after that, I went to Moi University in Eldoret, now University of Eldoret. I never thought about, coming for a PhD here in the US, but, I was lucky. I came to know about, one lecturer when I was in my final year of studies, who really pushed me very hard to come and pursue my PhD right after my undergrad. So that is how I came for my PhD in chemistry. And then after that, learning how to make drug molecules, I thought about, how do we deliver these molecules? And what about, how can I apply the chemistry knowledge to some of the infections that affect, our continent? That is how I ended up in Nebraska. And I've been here I came here since 2012 for my postdoc. And, I've been around until now. When I'm now an associate professor in the department, I'm kind of, part of this, at the edge of these breaking technologies that would hopefully create or have an impact on our continent. So the bottom line is vaccines are safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that answer, Daktari. So let's go to your colleague, Dr. Wilson. Can you also tell us about your history or your journey, your career path? Go ahead.
Yeah, so just as Benson said, my journey started way back in the village in Kenya, in Vihiga County. That's where I went to school in the very former years. And then I moved into Nairobi. I think my parents thought that Nairobi had a little bit better of a school, so I spent the rest of my primary school there, and I was a day scholar at a school called Aquinas High School in Eastlands. And from there, I moved on to Cardinal Tunga in Mosocho in Kisii for my A-levels. Then on to Nairobi University, where I graduated in biochemistry and chemistry, and also did a master's there under their tutorage and advice of the professor who passed on, and we say, sorry to the family. It was my mentor there. She trained me very well in biochemistry and chemistry. And then, I finished my master's under her and moved on to an institute called ILRI that does research on animal diseases. That's where I did my doctorate. I did a doctorate of science at the University of Belgium at the Institute of Tropical Diseases and Molecular Biology, working on trypanosomes. Came back to Kenya in 1990 at the peak of the heated,
multipartism
area. You remember that, multi-party?
Yes.
And nobody was interested in hiring a molecular biologist. So, hey, I moved on and said, let's see what we can do, because it was a very, very intense political climate at that time. I decided to take up a postdoctoral fellowship at Harvard at cardiovascular lab. And there I worked on cardiovascular for about 3 years before I started into the biotechnology field and working on cancer, gene discovery, molecular biology, and all that, applying all the tech. So it's been a journey, here back and forth. But I moved here, in '93 in the US, and I've been living here with my family since then. And it's about time to go back and get this stuff being done in Kenya, and that's what we are doing with Ben.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to ask another. I'm going to ask a question here. Why did you guys actually decide to take this journey in doing your complex? These, I call them very complex courses. What really motivated you, and are there challenges which you met along the way?
Kenya, we all know that.
Yep, go ahead, Dr. Benson.
Yeah, in Kenya, we know that after your high school, KCSE, during our time, there was no choice. Sometimes, you had this joint admission board deciding, where you go. So I was originally to go to law school, but then, Nairobi University was so complex for me because I was born and raised in the village. So my dad decided that I should go to at least a more remote university, in the University of Eldoret. It's not that remote these days. So that's how I ended up from law school to now going into science class. So it was not something that I wanted to do. But I thank God that I took that journey because it's been a very challenging journey. Nothing in life is easy, but I think with the resilience and determination, there's nothing that we cannot do. So that's what I can say.
Thank you very much, Daktari. So, Dr. Edege, do you have something? Do you have anything to add on top of that? The challenges you've had along the way?
So the challenges are always there, but I think my brother Benson has covered it very well in the sense that, we kind of have a system that, how that channels you in Kenya. As Benson said, he wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a doctor. I applied to medical school. But again, those who have schooled in the Kenyan system, that if you don't get a certain grade, then you don't end up where you want. And I ended up in the Bachelor of Science program where I said, okay, I can apply myself in biology and chemistry and still, be very useful. And that's the journey I've led and pursued. And here I am. Molecular biology came to me as an exciting thing. At that time, we refer to it as genetic engineering. Now, I wanted to figure out, talking about, cutting genes and putting them here and all that, and what are you able to do with that? That's how I ended up as a molecular biologist, and it has served me very well. People here have been sometimes surprised. They go like, well, you are very smart. Where did you come from? I tell them, no, I'm not even smart. The people I left there in Kenya, I used to see stars when I'm with them. So, we have a lot of smart people in Kenya, and we just want to work together and be able to, do some of these things that we are doing back here that are cutting edge there to help our people and get Daktari Biotechnology going.
Thank you very much, Daktari. So you guys, you've taken extraordinary steps in developing vaccines, either individually, collectively as a team. Then tell us, what does it take to develop a vaccine? And why, I'm not going to say why do we need vaccines, because you have already answered that question. Let's Kenyans, let the world know, I mean, the steps of making vaccines, or developing vaccines. What does it take to develop a vaccine? Let's start with Dr. Benson.
Yeah, I think the process is very rigorous. Actually, the process of making vaccines is more rigorous compared to other therapies, because, with the vaccines, you are thinking about giving it to healthy individuals, and you don't want to give them something that will cause a problem. So the bar of approval for vaccines is very high, and that is why they have to go through very rigorous, process. So what happens, during this process? There is what we call preclinical studies that are done not in humans but in the lab in a cell culture dish, to make sure that they sequence the right genomes, they identify the right proteins, they make sure that the ingredients, the active ingredients that are going to be delivered are going to be safe, to make sure that they are producing those what we call antibodies or proteins that are going to teach our bodies how to protect ourselves from infection. So they make sure that all those components or active ingredients are tested outside the body before they can go into what we call animal models, things like rats or even mice or even monkeys. And then after that, then we move into humans. So it's a very lengthy process. And, it assembles various things. There is what we call the active components that will go to give the set of instructions to our bodies to build that response. Then there is what we call, the delivery system that will make sure that what you're going to deliver, the entire formula is is homogeneous, is not aggregating. And then there is what we call, there are these other ingredients that are going to prime, or they are going to help the target cells to come in contact with what you're trying to deliver, so that you can have a robust response. So it's a very lengthy process, and I would say the bar for vaccine approval is very high. And the reason as to why we saw very accelerated development of COVID-19 vaccine, it's because the tools had already been, the tools already existed, because vaccines have been developed for a long time. We have vaccines that have been developed against HIV. We had a similar coronavirus in 2002, SARS-CoV-1. So the tools were already there, and people had already been using technologies like mRNA. That is why after we had this COVID-19 outbreak, what was needed was just to do a sequencing to be able to understand the pathogen. And then after that, then the scientists used existing tools to come up with a vaccine. And given that we had so many resources diverted towards vaccine development, because it's a very expensive venture, and given the resources that were poured into developing these vaccines, that is why we had rapid development of this SARS-CoV-2 vaccine. So that's all I can say about the process.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Benson. So, Dr. Wilson, did you take part? Or have you taken part in the COVID-19 vaccine development?
The answer in terms of the vaccine that is getting on the market is no, but have I played a role in building technology that can go towards that? Yes, I have. If you have a chance to maybe share slide number 18, I'll explain, what's going on. But the key point, as Benson has said, is what technology do you have? Is that technology ready to move you forward? So what you're seeing here on slide number 19, let's go to 18, sorry, yeah, is a human cell line. And I will just refer to it as cell line C, current cell line, and cell line C that you see in the left panel right here, that is not as bright green as the one in the right panel, is what we call the parent cell line. This is the current standard in terms of producing proteins that are biosimilars like glucose, or producing either vaccines or antibody therapeutics. So what we've done with my colleague that we are bringing into Daktari is pretty much engineered these cell lines such that they can actually, express this green fluorescence protein here even much better, maybe 100-fold. And, what that does, instead of the current, biologics yields, the protein that you want to produce being at around, half a gram to 1 gram per liter, which is a lot. When gram, people think we should be thinking about kilos. No, this is a lot of protein. We have actually improved this cell line to the level whereby in Daktari Biotechnology, we'll be able to produce these proteins at a level of at least 5 grams per liter to even 10 grams. And depending on how you optimize the cell line, you can even bring it up to 15 grams. The current system right now that is utilized in this process is called the CHO cells. For those, who use Swahili, don't feel insulted. It's not the CHO with the double O, it's just the CHO with a single O, and it's really, in simple terms, Chinese hamster ovary cell lines. They are really derived from the ovary of the Chinese hamster. And that's the standard that is being used in industry. One of the problems with that is that, as you utilize those products that come from the Chinese hamster, think about it. You're thinking about a human cell line versus a Chinese hamster cell line. You're producing a protein in a Chinese hamster cell line. It's not going to be exactly the same as the one you produce in the human cell line. And this is the advantage that Daktari has, because we have re-engineered this cell line to produce at the same level as the CHO cell line. And this is now what we are actually in the process of putting a patent together for this. And this is the technology we are moving forward there. So if you have the technology, then you can now say, which gene do we want to use to produce a particular, address a particular, disease that we want to treat. If it is diabetes, then it will be insulin being produced in this. If it's the COVID vaccine, we'll be producing it in this, or we'll be producing it in some other cell lines. So the technology is the key component. Once you have the technology, the rest of it is a process. We can train people, we can get people going with this, and we'll be ready to get that going once we have our facility up and running in Voi. So that's pretty much the key thing, the technology.
Thank you very much. And, briefly, go ahead, Daktari. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that the COVID vaccine right now, plus all the variants, and even what we call the multi-epitope vaccine that we are working on, that is in preclinical development, is going to be either produced in this system or also in what we call the insect cell line system, like the Novavax vaccine that is now getting on the market soon.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Before we go into Daktari Biotechnology, there are a few questions we also love to ask you. You guys have done various research and published various papers on HIV/AIDS. Can you tell our viewers on your inventions and any patent equated to your research? Let's start with Dr. Benson, please.
Yeah, I think I'll take this question. So in the area of HIV, we all know that everyone is struggling to get a vaccine for HIV. And this is a big problem because, HIV is a changing virus. It's like you're playing soccer or football and you're trying to score and you have the goalpost moving around the field or the pitch. So it's very hard to score when you have such a moving target. Now, what we've done in the area of HIV, there is a lot that has been done that shows that, when you are able to keep these patients on their medicines for life, they'll be able to lead a near normal life, just like anyone that is healthy. And they will also not be able to transmit the virus or infection into healthy individuals, as long as they take their medicines every day. But the problem here is, getting people to do things that they are asked to do. We see that a lot. Sometimes people just, someone would feel well or fine, then they would say, okay, I'm not going to take my medicine because I'm feeling fine. But you see, that's a problem. Why? Because, when you have what we call subtherapeutic or lower levels of drug into the system that cannot manage the virus from flooding the entire body, then you start developing resistance. And those medicines become useless. So what our research has done is, we've come up with very smart ways of enabling or making it convenient for patients to take their medicines only once a year, so that they don't have to worry about carrying the pills around everywhere they go, and each time they open that pill bottle, they are reminded of their condition and all the stigmas around that, taking daily pills. We are also targeting, mothers. We know that sometimes innocent babies get infected during or at the time of birth, but it has been shown that, if you're able to keep these mothers onto these effective and safe medicines, then you would prevent the kid or the baby from getting infected. So that's another target, during birth, at the time of birth, and at the time of breastfeeding. And then we'll also be targeting, those that are at high risk, because just like the way we take multivitamins or the way we take flu vaccines every year to protect ourselves from becoming sick, we are going to have medicines, or we have a drug that can be given once a year to protect healthy individuals from becoming infected. So those are some of the inventions that we've developed, and I have 16 patents around that technology. And the idea here is to try to extend, go beyond HIV into infections like TB, malaria, cardiovascular disease, East Coast fever, so that we can better manage the infections that affect our continent, ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daktari. Now, we want to shift our focus and now talk about Daktari Biotechnology, a company which is close to your breasts, both of you. So we want you now to tell us exactly what is Daktari Biotechnology and why you guys decided to form that particular company, and what's the mission and vision of Daktari Biotechnology. Let's start with Dr. Wilson.
Yeah, so as I said, the Daktari Biotechnology idea goes back about 6 years ago, when the company was pretty much established on paper. But what has been happening in the background is building the technology towards that. And the biggest motivation for, starting about Daktari Biotechnology was because every medicine that we have right now using in Kenya or in Africa is being developed elsewhere. Africa health system right now is valued at $25 billion. Okay, $25 billion is going towards the purchases of medicine to treat variations. This is money that is not staying in Africa to spur research, to actually develop technology, to help build our own systems so that, we can produce our own products. And I always go back to the COVID vaccine as a very good example. What has happened with the vaccine being discovered right now and being marketed right now? It's been actually taken up by the countries that have the money, that have the resources, and Africa is an afterthought. It's like once we get everybody vaccinated or get everybody treated elsewhere, then we'll start thinking about how we can, address the Africa problem. So this is really the biggest motivation behind Daktari Biotechnology. And for those who don't know, the vaccine, just COVID vaccine alone, is going to really cost Africa close to $5 to $10 billion. It might come as aid or grants, but it's money that we are going to pay someone else and not actually utilize that money to develop our own resources, homegrown, employ our own people, and also, be proud of producing something that we say was produced here by ourselves, by our own company, so that, we can actually develop our own technology. So that's the biggest motivation about Daktari Biotechnology, and that's how the idea has been, building over time, and that's why we are where we are right now. And Daktari Biotechnology is going to straddle both the animal health space, where we are developing vaccines and also drugs, as Benson said, and also the human health side, where we develop drugs and also vaccines. And we want to move this and get this technology. And we don't want to be consumers who just import and not use our bright brains, our able people, to actually do these things for ourselves. It's a challenge we are taking, and we want to actually challenge our politicians, our investors, to be part of us and build it through Daktari Biotechnology.
Wow. It sounds like you are actually moving us to Mars, and we are still trying to circle around the villages back in Africa. But let me take a quick challenge here to ask Dr. Benson a simple question. And before I ask him that particular question, we've been hearing, we've been watching videos, lots of information on social media about how Africans can't develop vaccines, blah, blah, so many things. And here today, we have people, we are professionals, we have Africans born in Africa who have got the technology to develop vaccines, to develop medicines in Africa. And they are telling us exactly what needs to be done. So, Dr. Benson, Daktari Biotechnology is here, is trying to take a leap forward to ensure that these medications are made in Africa. Are you really guys ready to take this step? And are you really ready to ensure that your dream will be realized in a few years' time? Tell us, Dr. Benson, what do you think about it?
So, yeah, that's a very great question, because we've had people come up with ideas, and sometimes those ideas just die. And I will give you an example. When I started working in HIV, the program where I work, it's full of biologists. And when I came to work with biologists, every time I would pitch my ideas, they would tell me how it would not work. They would give me so many reasons why it would not work. But here we are, several years down the line, I would say 4 years down the line, we've been able to achieve the first HIV cure using the ideas that were once, in a mouse. I would like to clarify, in a mouse model, or we've been able to come up with a therapy that could be given once every year using ideas that were once, deemed useless. So I know we will have those challenges. Now, why do we think that we are going to achieve these goals? We have the technologies. We are not the two of us are not the parts, or we don't represent the entire, Daktari Biotechnology. I should clarify that there are other experts in areas where we are not experts. So we have kind of, a team of experts, and we continue to invite other people to join us, because we know everyone has a role to play. So given that this is a teamwork effort with so much focus, and given that we know where to go and what networks to build to be able to move these ideas forward, and also given that part of the work as we speak is already moving forward on the ground, we should be able to start seeing 1 or 2 products moving to the African market, and then in the future we'll be able to to solve African problems ourselves. So it's something that is achievable, but we should be ready for challenges, and we should be ready to face those challenges, and team up and be able to move forward. So anyone that is willing to join the team, you're not just going to be joining as a member, you're going to be joining as a co-founder, like other people that we have, or other team members. So it's a large project that has many professionals in areas that the two of us may have some deficiencies. So it's something that is achievable.
Thank you very much, Dr. Benson. Before we play those videos, I would like Dr. Dr. Wilson to briefly explain. I mean, let me ask this question first. As the project you are talking about taken off, and what stages can we show, or can you tell the community, not only the community, I'm talking of the Africa community, are we currently doing right now? Where are we right now with the project? Go ahead, Dr. Wilson.
So the project has taken off, and as we said earlier on, this project we've been working for the last 6 years. When it's taken off, like we had the environmental impact assessment done by NEMA, and it's a comprehensive one on the whole, 3,000 acre land. That was delivered about 2 years ago. We have architects, as we talk right now, working and putting together all the key components of the drawings. We have a design build company that has been put together that is going to be actually doing the actual work on the site. And just like towards the end of last year, we started actually the greenifying the place. Let me use that word. We planted about 20,000 trees on the site. And a lot of the work is ongoing. We have an office in Voi that is really driving this. We have a project executor on the ground that is doing this in real time. And as Benson and I have said, a lot of the work right now that Daktari Biotechnology is doing, we are doing it through, what we call contract research organizations that you can source work. You don't need a lab to get a lot of these things done if you have the money. So we are using whatever little resources we have to get some of these products moved forward. So work is going on. We are not waiting to get a building to get this going. As I said, we have university founders, medical hospital founders that are actually put together an elaborate number of plans that are going to be implemented on the ground. So things are moving. The project is moving forward. The community, you can see they are engaged. They have planted all those trees, and they want the jobs there. They want to actually be able to bring bread home for their families. And they want also to be part of this project in a way that is very intimate, in the sense that, see the fruits of this, the hospital, the schools, the university, and any other entity or business that will be there. So they're fully engaged, and we are moving on. And we want everybody in the diaspora to join us, and we'll talk a little bit about that later.
So how do you want to tap the diaspora to be part of your vision? Are there any local and international investors interested in this particular project?
So we are currently talking to a number of investors from Europe that brought the project up to. We have the diaspora that has already committed quite a bit of resources into this. As we talk right now, the diaspora has committed, at least 100 million Kenya shillings into the project that is going to be coming in gradually. And, part of that, not actually part of it, besides that, they have committed about 40 million towards Daktari Biotechnology. So things are happening on the ground, but the key point that we want to pass on to the diaspora. The diaspora actually is the biggest foreign exchange earner for Kenya and Africa at large. Africa as a whole is $40 billion per year, and in Kenya it's about $3.5 billion a year. Our appeal is, let's redirect some of our resources, just about a tenth of it, which would be about, $300 million in the Kenyan sense, to go towards diaspora projects that will have an impact, that will create opportunity and actually drive technology development. That's the appeal we want them to take us on, and we have vehicles to do that. We are inviting them to invest.
Thank you very much. We can see the community there. What is the community actually doing there? That water is coming from where, Dr. Benson? What are we doing there? What's happening there?
I think here what we are seeing, they are trying to make sure that the environment is green, as Wilson said. So they are planting trees. I think they've planted more than 1,000 trees on the site, and they are trying to clear the bushes, in preparation for the buildings to be erected. So work is already moving forward, and we will have, it's going to be a self-sustained and sustained project. So we'll try to have, it is going to be a university town, just like the way we have university towns here, and we'll have different components. And if anyone wants to know about this project, they can actually join. They can reach out to Wilson and others, that will be able to give more information on how we plan to move this project forward. But what you see there is, trying to make sure that the environment is green and clearing those bushes, putting together the materials that we need to start construction.
Thank you very much. Because of time, we might not actually ask you so many more questions, but there are questions coming from our viewers. But before we ask the questions, we need you first of all to finish. To elaborate a little bit further about the project. We know, or we have had examples in Kenya, or hurdles in Kenya, in starting business or start doing business. You guys, have you met any challenges? If so, how have you managed to steer your project without interference, especially from the local political elite?
So the project is really a partnership with the community, and it's called the Daktari community. They have a ranch of about almost 10,000 acres, and they have granted 1,500 acres towards the project. So the most important thing was to get the community to buy into the project, see the value of the project. As we talk right now, there are about 200 or 300 of them that are employed, actually doing a lot of the groundwork right now that is happening there. And as far as challenges are concerned, we met challenges. They have come from politicians. They have come from people in the community also. But the way we've actually addressed that is through the legal means. We have a constitution that gives us guidance and principles. And, we take that to heart. And we've been able to, move beyond some of the challenges. And we don't think they will stop coming. But the key thing is the community wants the project there, is their land, and they are bought into it and they are ready to go, and they can see, there's value in this project. So the challenges are there, and we have addressed them, but the project is approved by the county assembly, and, the county assembly actually approved this project about 5 years ago.
Okay, we have not. We want you to remind the viewers where this project or the university is actually being built. Where is it located? Where specifically in Kenya? So
into slide number 2. So it's in Voi, Taita Taveta. We have an office there right now, and it's off the Arusha Voi Road. It's about 8 miles or so from the junction of Voi Mombasa Road. Number 2, slide number 2. Yeah, that slide. So that's where the project is really located, and you can see zoned out for industry, the medical school, the university, and a lot of the other amenities that you would associate with a town. So it's really very close to Voi town, but it is on the road from Voi to Arusha, about 6 miles or so. That's where the project is located, not very far away from Kilimanjaro and Tsavo National Park.
Thank you very much, Daktari. So what is the total cost for this project from your estimation?
So when it's fully built and put together, we believe that it should be, in the tune of maybe $1 billion.
$1 million? You said
$1 billion.
What? $1 million?
$1 billion.
What?
$1 billion.
Or $1 billion? One billion. Okay, $1 billion. Thank you very much. And now, how do you want the diaspora people or the local investors to tap into it? How do they? What's the procedure? What's the process?
So we have a website. If you go to slide 4, we should probably be able to show them how to get in there into what we are doing. So if you go to slide 5, sorry, 5, next one. Yeah, so as we said, we have a DUT credit company, Diaspora University Trust Credit Company, that people can invest through. We can also get investments through Daktari Biotechnology through the investor portal. And, we have people that will be able to answer your questions and direct you to that. Our goal this year is to actually build it up to about 4,000 jobs if the investments can come, and they have a huge impact in just not the Taita Taveta region, but these jobs are going to be taken up by people from all parts of the country, because we want professionals in various areas that are going to be able to, move the project forward. And then the hospital will be coming along, maybe a year, 2 years down the road. And the university, we hope that, we'll be submitting this to the Commission of University Education within the next 3 or 4 months, the whole, application. So the diaspora can go into any of these portals and be able to find a way to invest through the DUT credit or the Daktari Biotechnology itself. And even on the Daktari Biotechnology itself, you'll see a whole list of products that we are actually lining up for production.
Thank you very much, Daktari. So let me, because of time, we are basically trying to summarize this. But Dr. Dr. Benson, can you briefly tell us of the medications or the vaccines or let's talk about the products you are actually going to produce in this Daktari Biotechnology Limited premises? Tell us briefly. I mean, we need to know these products so that when people are actually coming to invest, they are not products which have already been manufactured or having patents by other people. So we want to know exactly which products do you have patents and you are planning to start manufacturing at the Daktari Biotechnology Center.
Yeah, so we are going to map different areas. And one of the gaps that we have is, is malaria. So we all know that if you are traveling to Africa and you're a healthy individual, you have to take a pill before you go to you travel to Africa or, those areas, endemic areas. And then you have to continue taking a daily pill for the entire duration that you'll be there. Let's say you're traveling for 6 months. And then when you get back, you have to continue on that pill for more than 2 weeks, or at least 2 weeks. So we have a product that will allow you to take a single shot to prevent malaria.
Have you seen?
And then we're also mapping a product that will help, curb things like East Coast fever, which is causing a lot of economic losses to farmers. Then we are also going to have a product on TB. We've already started moving that forward. That will help overcome the 1.7 million or so deaths we are seeing on the side of TB. We're also going to have, we already have identified something in cardiovascular diseases. This is something that we see a lot in Africa. You are with someone, then all of a sudden you hear they just collapsed because of cardiac arrest. So we have a medicine that we are going to develop that will be given once maybe a month or once every 6 months to be able to keep those individuals safe. That way, we are able to have a healthy community, and we should be able to, to develop economically as Africans. So we've already mapped out specific products, and we are going to start from what is known to be safe. And given that, given our backgrounds in formulation and medicinal chemistry, we know what changes to make, and we know what to do to be able to have a niche for Daktari Biotechnology in terms of patents. That way, we don't end up infringing on other people's, or on existing patents. So the patent law, we know, we are very familiar with that. And also, as I mentioned at the beginning, I co-founded a company here called Xavier Therapeutics. So I'm looking into future partnerships between this project and Xavier Therapeutics so that we can negotiate licenses that, Xavier Therapeutics will be developing into Daktari Biotechnology in the future. That way our people can have access to world-class medicines. Just the other day, I would say last month, an HIV therapy that can be given once every month was approved for use in the Europe, UK, in the Europe, US, and Canada. But Africans were part of this clinical trial. But it's very sad that we will take like 20 or 15 years before we get this medicine on our market, and these are very effective. That is why you see in Africa alone you have like 25 million people dying or suffering from HIV, But in a place like US that has a population of more than 320 million, you are talking about 1.5 million. Why? Because there are effective medicines that people are taking here. So we want to use this as a vehicle to take those products over there. So we have the technical know-how, we have the networks. I currently work with the Clinton Health Access Initiative as well, and they're doing a very great job, on the ground, trying to partner or try to negotiate licenses with some of these inventing companies. And those are some of the mechanisms that we'll explore on products that are still on the market. So we have a plan, and that is why we are appealing to others to come and join the train, because my role here is going to be very tiny. I'm only a very tiny piece of this entire big project. So we need you, we need everyone to come in, because we believe all of us have a talent and a unique way that we can contribute to these problems that we face as Africans. Thank you.
Come and list some of the few products, maybe using a slide so that our viewers can know exactly what you guys are going to start to manufacture at Daktari Biotechnology Center. So, Dr. Wilson Ndege, can you answer that question, please?
Yeah. So let's just see what. We go to maybe slide number 20. We should list some of the products there, and then walk people through them. We have that. Yeah. So okay. Go back one, number 19. So this is the part of the project that is working on what we call biologics or biosimilars. These are protein therapeutics. They could be antibodies, could be protein or virus that we are developing that are in cells. And I just shared a slide there where I was showing you some green, very bright. These are products that will be produced using that kind of system. The insulin, we know that diabetes is becoming a lifestyle disease in Africa. Benson and I are working on this with my other colleagues to produce a regular insulin, but also build it into a long-acting insulin so that people do not have to inject themselves every day to actually manage their sugar levels. Then erythropoietin for anemia, and then interferon for multiple sclerosis, leukemia, and even for COVID. But this is just about 3 or so products of 20 that are listed on our website. And, go to slide number 15. Again, as Benson said, we are going to apply technology for the HIV medicines, malaria, TB, also COVID. We are looking at therapeutics for small molecules for that. And then, of course, cardiovascular diseases. And then in the animal health space, we have our colleague, Dr. Patrick Champole, who is in Kenya currently. He's been talking to various individuals from various institutions. We are developing a foot and mouth disease virus vaccine. We are developing a vaccine for Newcastle disease virus for chicken, avian flu. And we are also, working on a product that is going to molecule that is long-acting using Benson's technology for East Coast fever. East Coast fever is very, very serious. It's about $500 million in cost to farmers in Africa. We believe that we should be able to provide medicine that can actually manage the disease. They don't have to inject the animal every day. They can once a week or once every 2 weeks, and then manage. So we have a bunch of products that we are working on that are actually, as we talk right now, are incubating, and we are hoping that we can move them forward. As I said, you don't need a physical lab to move this forward. Things are happening as we talk right now. I don't know whether I missed anything, but Benson can add to that.
Yeah, I think you covered everything. If they go to slide...
Go ahead.
Slide 11.
Slide 11? Okay.
Yeah, so that shows how effective these technologies are. So that is just how, the brown things you are seeing is how, cells, human cells infected by HIV look like. So here we did, the box you are seeing on the right is, it's just an experiment trying to see how effective some of these medicines that we are developing are. So the vertical lane you see control, those are just normal cells, no infection. So those are very healthy cells. There is no brown looking staining or colors in those cells from 1 to 30. So 1 to 30 are like days, 30 different experiments. NM2 curve, if you look from 1 through 30 down through 30, that's vertical lane, you clearly see there is no difference between those cells that have been treated by our formulation or our drug and then challenged or exposed to HIV, so they don't get infected. So these are very good candidates for HIV prevention. NM-carb is another formula that we developed, but is not as effective as NM2-carb. Why? Because, by day 20, you clearly see brown-looking things, images. That is a virus protein that shows that the cells have already infected by HIV. So if you are to give that drug to an individual, then you would not expect them to be protected for day 20. So maybe by day 15, they will have to take another dose to continue to protect themselves from infection. But look at carb-LA or carb-LAP. That is a formula that was recently approved for use in the clinic. And, it was approved by the FDA last month. Look at that. By day 1, you're starting to see breakthrough. Now, that doesn't mean that the drug is not going to work, but it means that the drug is not efficiently getting into cells that, need to have this drug to prevent against infection, because viruses rely on cells to survive. So if you're not able to get the drug into cells, then you're going to have infection. So that's the problem we are starting to see. We have superior products, things that could help. Then the panel that you're seeing, HIV, that vertical lane, is just infection with no treatment. So that shows that the system is working. Then, of course, we cross-validate this data by measuring what we call the reverse transcriptase activity, which will tell you whether there is production of infectious virions or viruses or not. So we can clearly see that, with our formula, lead formula, the one that is in light blue, there is no difference between that and the control that is in purple. Everything is on the baseline. But look at CARB-LAP, that the one that is currently used that has recently been approved. There is total viral breakthrough at day 1. So which means that formula has to be given every month for you to be able to get some protection. If you go to slide 12, next slide, please. So that shows that a single shot in red. So we've done studies in mice, rats, and monkeys. A single shot in red, that curve you see in red, a single shot, you're able to get sustained effective drug levels for up to a year in mice, rats, and monkeys. So we know this is something that is going to work in humans. Why? Because, monkeys or rats or mice, they metabolize, they break down drugs faster than humans. So this could be given even once every 1.5 years, and we can easily adjust the dose for those that would like to take it once every 6 months. So the technology is working. And what you see in green is a comparator, a control of the formula that was recently approved by the FDA. So you can see a single shot within a month or 1.5 months, it drops below what is required to protect or to offer protection. That dotted line, you see that horizontal dotted line. So that's the target concentration. So we know the target concentrations in humans that we are looking for or we are shooting for. And these doses that we give are very compatible with the human doses. Then you go to next slide, please. So we've also looked at, the safety of these medicines. So here we are looking at various, organ functions in blood. We are looking at liver function, kidney function, heart function, and we are looking at animal weight. They've been shown to be very safe. So what you're seeing in black and green, that is comparing animals that were exposed to this, animals that were not exposed to the formula versus animals that were exposed to the formula. So there is no difference between those groups for up to a year. So the medicines are very safe. And then, of course, if you go to the last slide, next one, we also look at tissue level. So we are comparing, various tissues, the liver, the lung, brain, gut, kidney, spleen, to make sure that these drugs don't create harm to those different bodily organs. So you can clearly see that we have very safe and effective medicines. But should we continue to sit on these medicines? The answer should be no. They should go out there to help people so that people in our continent can have the same, they can have the same, life, or they can have the same lifespan like the people in the developed world. So all we need is some of these technologies to get there. And that is why we want to use this vehicle to negotiate these technologies that we've developed, that we've invented to get there. If I go to my company, if I go to my institution and tell them that we have this vehicle that we want to use to get this medicine to the African continent, they'll be able to support the mission because that's what they do. So it's not like a big firm or whatever that will try to, look at other factors. They'll be able to support that. And we should be able to, to rapidly get this into our people. So let's partner and let's make this happen. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Before we have our closing thoughts, we are having one of our friend, is the chairman of a conglomerate organizations around the world. It's called Dr. Shiuri. So I believe Dr. Shiuri should be somewhere waiting. We'll bring him so that he can also give a brief introduction to One Voice Consortium, which is part of the, it's a partner with KDRTV, so that he can also tell us how the One Voice Consortium is going to partner with Daktari Biotechnology. So, Dr. Shiuri, please 1 minute, because of time, please 1 minute. Can you introduce yourself and tell us how you are planning to partner with Daktari Biotechnology?
Thank you very much, Ben Kibwato from KDRTV. Thank you for hosting my friends Dr. Ndege and Dr. Ndagwa in this very, very good show that you had. And mine here is very, very brief to let you know that One Voice Consortium is part of the group that has got these two gentlemen here on board to be able to talk to the larger diaspora about their work. Now, One Voice Consortium is an organization that brings together various diaspora professionals and organizations that are impacting the communities in various areas, whether in the social sector, in the economic sector, in the health sector, in the technology sector, in the cultural sector, and whatever sector is out there, we embrace them all, even the governance sector. So we are proud here to be part of Daktari Biotechnology and also Diaspora University Town. In fact, I'm a co-founder of Diaspora University Town. So I know more about what it has been doing right from the inception. And I quite endorse what it is doing right now in trying to get all these activities that we are doing here in diaspora back home. Now, it looks like, the two gentlemen have covered quite a lot of ground, and we appreciate that. I really enjoyed the whole session, and I think even in future, we may even be able to perhaps get them again when activities are moving on, to let the diaspora continue to know what is going on. But one thing I wanted to mention is about a possible partnership that we will be working with Daktari Technology through our association with African Diaspora Development Institute, which is led by Her Excellency Dr. Chihombori, Arikana Chihombori. We have a concept that is called Wakanda City of Return concept, where we are trying to get our diaspora people who left Africa and now are in various countries, or those who perhaps their parents left Africa as slaves and they are, and now they are in other parts of the continent or the world, to be able to have an opportunity of investing back in Africa in a very meaningful way. So this project of Wakanda City of Return it has started already. There is one that is in the West Africa, in Ghana, on the Gold Coast of Ghana. And it has almost a similar concept like Diaspora University. In fact, it has everything in the same way. And Recently, we were, grateful to receive an area in Kenya that can also host the Wakanda City of Return, Kenya, and that's in near Malindi, Kilifi, and it has about 6,000 acres of land. That particular parcel of land is going to partner with DUT on a number of things that can also be done there as a way of playing the whole economic sector together, because as you know, there could be a medical university somewhere or another institution somewhere that can benefit from what DUT is doing, and then similarly another institution could be at the Wakanda City of Return that could also invest into DUT. That way we are facilitating all these things towards helping our Kenyan community back, because that is the end game here. The end game is seeing a meaningful way of transferring the technology that we have in the developing world back to Kenya, so that we can have improved lifestyle, we can have improved livelihoods, because all these projects are going to generate jobs, they're going to generate income. And as you know, right now, diaspora is the diaspora remittances are the highest, and this could form another way of even increasing those remittances at a higher level. So we are appealing to our diaspora community to continue supporting these concepts like the DUT and also the Wakanda City of Return, so that we can be able to move very, very well. Perhaps in the near future, we'll come on this radio station with Her Excellency Dr. Rikana Chihombori, who has already been here before in December to talk more about Wakanda City of Return. But thank you so much, Dr. Ndege and Dr. Ndagwa. Your names are kind of similar, and we like that. It's like, you're twins. But one is an older twin and a younger twin. But all the same, we enjoy that, and we see this project coming on well. In fact, you show that the significance of this project very well, because you have the older Ndege and you have the younger Ndagwa, and that's the way to go. You have the older version and the younger version kind of coming together to really produce a very, very beautiful concept here. And we support you fully. We'll want to bring you board again on this show through the good work of KDRTV, our media partners, so that we can be able to move the goalpost ahead, and not like Dr. Ndagwa was saying, having the goalpost moving all over. We want the goalpost to stay in one spot so that we can score, So thank you so much, gentlemen, and back to you, Ben Kibwato at the station.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, viewers. You've heard it all from Dr. Shiori, the chairman of One Voice International Consortium. So we want to have a closing or a parting shot from Dr. Ndege and Dr. Ndagwa. So let's start now from Dr. Benson. Dr. Benson, your closing shot, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. I know everyone had so many other things to do, and I also thank you so much, KDRTV, for the opportunity to come and talk about our work. I look forward with partnering, with everyone. We have the tools, we have the know-how. Let's join forces and move forward together.
Thank you very much. Let's now close it down with Wilson, Dr. Wilson.
Yeah, and thank you so much, viewers, and thank you so much, KDRTV, for hosting us. Thank you, everybody in the diaspora. The most important message to everybody, both in the diaspora and in Kenya, we've told you what we have, what we are doing. It's up to the people in Kenya who have the money, who are the investors, to actually join in and actually buy part of the technology. Nobody's going to build this for us. We are not going to wait for the Western people to do it, the Western countries or the Chinese. We need to do it ourselves. We need to own it. Please join us and make this a reality. We work together. The other message, we are working with Nairobi University, with the Institute of Primate Health. We've signed memorandums of understandings for some of these products into the clinical trials. clinical trials. So we are moving things along. We are not doing this alone, partnering up with institutions back there, and we are ready to go. Please join us on our websites, and invest in this. You won't regret it. I'm sure family and children will enjoy it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, listeners. Thank you very much, viewers, for having a wonderful discussion. We've had a wonderful discussion with Dr. Endege and Dr. Endagwa. We are happy that you found time to watch this particular program. We've lined up for you other interviews, a high-level interviews, again, whatever we can actually call it, political, social, science, scientific. We need you to be part of this journey. We need you to be part of the story. So the best option you need to do is encourage your people to subscribe, encourage your people to send questions, encourage your people to give suggestions, critique. We are pretty happy that we are part of the diaspora narrative. And from my end, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening or have a wonderful morning in the Americas, and in Africa. Have a wonderful night. Thank you. Till next time. Okay, before I close down, I'm saying that I would like to tell you that on April 4th, we are going to have His Excellency Ambassador Lazarus Amayo, the Kenyan ambassador to the US, is going to discuss with us, is going to tell us exactly his plans about the diaspora, especially who are living in America, his aspirations. We're going to listen. We are going to keenly listen to him. And if you've got any questions, please go ahead and send them to us. Thank you, and may God bless you all. Bye.